So good morning to all. So we go for today the fourth unit, normalization. So what is the normal? What is normalization? What is the need of normalization? What are the normal forms? So we go for first. What is normalization? Normalization is the process of decomposing a relation into smaller and well-structured relations. So, what is normalization? Normalization is the process of decomposing a relation into smaller and well-structured relations. So, so we are dividing the relation into smaller relations and well-structured relations. So what is meant by well-structured relation? So well-structured relation is a relation without any anomalies during the insertion, deletion or updation. A relation without any anomaly at the time of insertion or deletion or updation. Such a relation we called as well-structured relation. So the main purpose of normalization is to avoid the redundancy. The main cause of the main cause is redundancy. Redundancy is the main role. Redundancy is the main cause for this everyday all anomalies. For all anomalies, the main cause is the redundancy. Anomaly means errors. For any type of anomalies, either it may be insertion anomaly or deletion anomalies or updation anomaly. So the main cause, the main root, the root is redundancy. What is redundancy? Redundancy is a duplication of data. A data duplication we called as the redundancy. Redundancy is the main cause for all anomalies. For any anomalies, redundancy is the root cause. To avoid such a redundancy, we use normalizations. So what we can perform in normalization? In normalization, we can decompose the relation into smaller and well-structured relations. So without well-structured relations, that means well-structured relation is a relation without any anomalies. Such a relation is called as well-structured relation. So what is go for normalization? So what is normalization? Normalization is the redundancy, the root cause for any anomalies. To avoid the redundancy, so we use normalization cause for any anomaly database system. Redundancy is the root cause for any anomalies in the database system. So redundancy means duplication of data. So duplication of data we called as redundancy. Redundancy is the root cause for any anomalies in the database system. Normalization is normalization is used normalization is used to reduce the redundancy. So normalization is used to reduce the redundancy. So normalization is the process of decompose into smaller and well structured. So normalization is the process of decomposing a relation into smaller and well structured relations. The process of decomposing a relation into smaller and well-structured relations. Such a relation we called as normalization. So well-structured relation is a relation without without any anomalies such as insertion, deletion, and updation. So, so insertion, deletion, and updation. So well-structured relation is a relation without any anomalies. There is no others. So that's called as normalization. So what is normalization? Normalization is the process of decomposing a relation into smaller and well-structured relations. What is the purpose to divide the relation into smaller relations? To avoid the redundancy. Redundancy is the root cause. To avoid the redundancies, we use normalization. So the rules that are used to decompose into smaller relations, those rules are called as normal forms. The rules that are used to decompose a relation into smaller relations, those rules called as normal forms. So what is normal form? The normal form is nothing but a rule. The rule that are used to decompose a relation, that rule we called as normal form. The types of normal forms are: there are different normal forms. So 1NF, 2NF. So first normal form 1NF, first normal form. So second normal form, third normal form. NF means normal form, third normal form. BCNF, 4NF, 5NF. There are different normal forms. We have the different normal. So what is first normal form? So what is it? A relation is said to be first normal form, no multi-valued attributes. And no multi-valued attributes, and all attributes are atomic. So first we go for different normal forms. We have the first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, VCNF, 4NF, and 5NF. Like this, we have the different normal forms are there. So first we go for first normal form. So we call it as 1NF. When we say that a relation is first normal form, a relation is said to be first normal form if and only if there is no multi-valued attributes and all the attributes must be atomic. A relation is said to be first normal form if and only if a relation is said to be first normal form if and only if all the attributes must be atomic and no multi-valued attributes. A relation is said to be first normal form if and only if all the attributes must be atomic. ప్రతి attribute ఎలా ఉండాలి, అటామిక్ గా ఉండాలి. అండ్ నో మల్టీ వాల్యూడ్ అట్రిబ్యూట్స్, ఎటువంటి మల్టీ వాల్యూడ్ అట్రిబ్యూట్స్ ఉండకూడదు. చూడండి చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఇది. ఆల్ ద అట్రిబ్యూట్స్ మస్ట్ బి అటామిక్ అండ్ నో మల్టీ వాల్యూడ్ అట్రిబ్యూట్స్. వాట్ ఈస్ అటామిక్? An attribute which cannot be further divided, such attribute is called as atomic. An attribute which cannot be such attribute is called as so an attribute which cannot be further divided, such attribute is called as atomic attribute. And what is multi-valued? What is multi-valued attribute? For each row, an attribute will contains multi-valued by for each row. An attribute will contain multiple values. Such attribute is called as multi-valued attribute. So what is atomic? So what is this? So what is atomic? So what is multi-valued? So what is this? A relation is said to be first normal form if and only if all the attributes must be atomic. ప్రతి attribute ఎలా ఉండాలనుకున్నాము, అటామిక్ గా ఉండాలి. అండ్ నో మల్టీ వాల్యూడ్ అట్రిబ్యూట్స్ ఉండకూడదు. వాట్ ఈస్ అటామిక్? An attribute which cannot be further divided, such attribute is called as atomic attribute. An attribute which cannot be further divided, such attribute is called as atomic attribute. What is multi-valued? For each row, an attribute will contains multiple values is called as multi-valued attribute. For example, if you take one example, I will go for one example. Student number, name, mobile number. Student number, name, mobile number. Student number, name, mobile number. Student number, name, and mobile number. For example, student number, name and mobile number. For example, we have the 101 student. Name Sai, mobile number. This is one number. So this is one number. 102. Four. Suppose this is, if you take this relation is the above relation is not in first normal form because mobile number is a multi-valued attribute. For example, if you take a student 101 student has two mobile numbers. So the mobile number has multiple values. So the above relation is not in first normal form because for each entity instance it has multiple number of values. That's we called as multi-valued attribute. The above relation is not in first normal. The above relation is not in first normal form because because for each row there is because for each student there is more than one mobile number. The above relation is not in first normal form. So is not in first normal form because there is more than one mobile, because the above relation is not in first normal form because for each student there is more than one mobile number. So the relation this relation is not in first normal form. It is not in first normal form because mobile number is a multi-valued attribute. That is, because mobile number is a multi-valued attribute. The normal, the not, the first, the normalized relation. For the above relation is, so that is not in first normal form. Then what is the first normal form of that relation? So the first normal form of that relation is 8. Student underscore number, name and the mobile number. So we have the relation 101, 101, psi. So 87, 88, 66, 77, 00. Again 101, psi 98, 99, 66, 00, 21. 102 from 77, 88, 99, 00, 33. 103 Krishna, 88, 99, 00, 31, 8. 103 Krishna. So 99, 99, 99, 88, 88, 66. We have 104, 104, volume, 778, 77, 99, 66, 00. 104, volume, 98, 99, 66, 33. 3322. So this is the first normal form. So it is, this is not in first normal form because so we have the multi-valued attributes. So to avoid such a multi-valued attribute, so we use this form. So this is the first normal form. So this is about the first normal form. So the above relation is in first normal form because no multi-valued attribute and all attributes are atomic. So this relation is in first normal form. The above relation is in first normal form because all attributes are, there is no multi-valued attribute, no multi-valued attributes, and all attributes are atomic. So that's why this is the first normal form of this relation. So this is about first normal form. So what is first normal form? So a relation is said to be first normal form if and only if all the attributes must be atomic and no multi-valued attributes. All are atomic and no multi-valued attributes. What is an atomic? An attribute which cannot be further divided, such attribute is called as atomic attribute. An attribute which cannot be further divided, such attribute is called as atomic attribute. What is multi-valued? For each row, an attribute will contain multiple values. Such attribute is called as multi-valued attribute. For example, if you take this row, this relation, this relation is not in a first normal form because mobile number is a multi-valued attribute. For example, for each student, there may be more than one mobile number. That's why it is a multi-valued attribute. To avoid this problem, so to avoid the normalized relation for this is the normalized relation. So this relation is in first normal form. So because no multi-valued attributes and all attributes are atomic. All the attributes are atomic and there is no multi-valued attributes. This is called as first normal form. We go for second normal form. 2n, very important. 2n. A relation is said to be second normal form if and only if it is in first normal form and every non-key attribute is fully functional dependent on primary key. A relation is said to be second normal form 2NF, second normal form. A relation is said to be second normal form if and only if it is in first normal form, if it is in first normal form and every non-key attribute is fully functional on is fully functional dependent on primary key. So this is second normal form. What is second normal form? That means what is the rule that are used in second normal form? A relation is said to be second normal form if and only if it is in first normal form and every non-key attribute is fully functional dependent on primary key. So we have the, so what is primary key? Primary key is a key which has unique, the value of the attribute must be, the values of the attributes must be unique and it cannot be null. That's we called as a primary key. Primary key is a, so primary key is a attribute in a relation. The values of the attribute must be unique and it cannot be null. Such a key we called as a primary key. What is primary? Primary key is an attribute in a relation whose values must be unique, and whose values must be unique and cannot be null. Such attribute we called as a primary key. So we already discussed in third SQL. So primary key is an attribute in a relation whose values must be unique. So values of the key must be unique. Which unique means which cannot be repeated. That's we call as unique. Whose values must be unique and cannot be null. So it cannot be null. Such a key is called as primary key. So what is functional dependency? Now we go for functional dependency. What is functional dependency? So what we called as functional dependency. So what is meant by functional dependency? So what is functional dependency? So what is functional dependency? So what is functional dependency? Let us assume that R is a relation X and Y are the attributes in the relation R. So let R be a relation. Let us assume R is a relation. X and Y are the attributes in a relation. For each value of X, each value of x, for each value of x, there is a unique value of y. For each value of x, there is a unique value of y. Such a relation, sorry, for each value of x, there is a unique value of y is called as functional dependency. A functional dependency is represented by x is we use arrow symbol. X is functional dependent on y. So we called as y is functional dependent on x. That means if you mentioned x, we can find the value of y. That's we called as functional dependency. So what is functional dependency? So in a relation, or x and y are the two attributes in a relation. For each value of x, there is a unique value of y. If we say x, we can find y. If we say x value, we can find y value. Then we called as y is functional dependent on x. For example, if you tell the all-ticket number, you can say the name. If you say the name, we cannot tell the all ticket numbers because there is more than one student with the same name. But each student has only one all ticket number. If you tell the all ticket number, so for each all ticket number, there is a name. So that's why name is functional dependent on all ticket number. That's we call as functional dependency. So what is functional dependency? So functional dependency means we if we say the one value, we can find another value. So such we call as functional dependency. So it's we let R be a relation. We have the represent. If for example, if we take one table, if you take student is one table, for example, all ticket number, name, mobile number, city, email, city. So I will remove email column, city, pin code. If you take this relation, all ticket number, name, mobile number, city, and pin code. So if you take this relation, we have the student relation. I will take one example. How many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. We have the table. We need table with 5 columns. So I read 6 rows. Out of it, content. So hall ticket number, name, mobile, city, pin code, for example. So we have the all ticket number 101, Mr. Ram. So mobile, is the mobile number. He is from Guntur. So pin code is 522001. Let us. We have one more student of 101, 102, sorry, 102, Mr. Krishna. His mobile number is 8899003132. He is also from Guntur. Mobile number is 522001. We have one more student, 103. So I will take, instead of teacher, I will go for teacher. Instead of that, I will go for teacher. So instead of city, I will use rating and our ways. So if it is rating 10, our ways is 1500. We have one more student, employee, our rating is 10, 1500. We have one more teacher, Sai. So mobile number 9999888800. Rating is 9. So hourly wage is 1200. So we have one more faculty, rating is 9, so 1200. So we have one more student, one more faculty, so Mr. Boss. If you observe this relation, we have the ID, employee, not all ticket number, employee ID, EID, employee ID, employee name. So instead of all ticket number, I will take employee ID, EID, employee ID, employee name, mobile number, rating, and hourly wage. So these are the attributes, rating and our wage. Here the primary key is 104. It's not 103. Sorry, 104. This is 105. Here employee ID is the primary key. So in this relation, employee ID is the primary key, and name, mobile number, rating, and our case is the non-key attributes. Key attribute is the employee ID, and the non-key attributes are number, name, mobile number, rating, and our case. So the functional dependencies are name is functional dependent on employee ID. So if we tell the employee ID, we can say the name. Mobile number is also functional dependent on employee ID. Rating is also functional dependent on employee ID. However, our age is depends on rating, not employee ID. So if it's a 10th rating employee, the hour wage is 1500. If it is a 8th, 9th rating employee, hour wage is 1200. So if it is 106, eighth rating employee. If it is a eighth rating employee, so the value is 1000. Here the attributes. What then? Our ACE is depends on rating. So it's not depends on employee ID. So the above relation is not in second normal form because our ACE is depends on rating. That's the problem. So this is the problem of this is the above relation is not in second. It is in first normal form. However, it is not in second normal form because our age depends on rating. Actually, it's not depends. All attributes must be depends on employee ID. So what is the definition? All non-key attributes are fully functional dependent on primary key. So this is the problem. So this problem we can rectify. How we can solve? For the above relation, the key attribute is employee ID and non-key attributes are name, mobile, rating, and our ways. So these are the actually the functional dependencies. Dependency for the above relation is. So what are the functional dependency? Employee ID to name, employee ID, mobile, employee ID, rating. So rating ours is. So our age is depends on so that's. That means a non-key attribute which depends on another non-key attribute. A non-key attribute which depends on another non-key attribute is this called as. These are the functional dependencies. Name is functional dependent on employee ID. Similarly, mobile number is functional dependent on employee ID. Rating is functional dependent on employee ID. And ours age is functional dependent on the rating. So this is these are the functional dependencies. The above relation is in first normal form, but not it is second normal form. The above relation is in first normal form, but not second normal form. Because ఎందుకని second normal form లో లేదు? Because an attribute our is functional dependent on rating. So actually our age and functional rating are the non-key attribute. One non-key attribute is depends on another non-key attribute. But according to the definition, all non-key attributes must be depends on primary key. But here our age is functional dependent on rating. So that means one non-key attribute depends on another non-key attributes. That's why this relation is not in second normal form. So this relation is not in second normal form. Actually, the definition of second normal form is every non-key attribute must be depends on functional dependent on primary key only. But here, one non-key attribute is depends on another non-key attribute. So that's why this relation is not in second normal form, because our age is a non-key attribute, and rating is also non-key attribute. One non-key attribute is depends on another non-key attributes. That's why this relation is not in second normal form. The second normal form, the above relation is decomposed into two relations. We can divide that relation into two relations. The first relation is employee ID, name, rating. This is the first relation. Employee ID, name, mobile number, rating is the first relation. Again, we have one more relation. We have one more relation. So what is called as rating and our age. Rating and our age. Two columns, four rows. Auto fit contents. Our case, if it is 10th rating employee, so this is the self hours wage is 1500. If it is a 9th rating employee, so 1200. If it is 8th rating employee, the wage is 1000 rupees. So this relation, so this is the relation actually. So this relation is not actually this is a smaller we feel, but this relation has a problem of redundancy, because so suppose there are 10 employees of 10th rating employee and 10 employees of 9th rating employee, our age is repeating. So that is the problem, redundancy. That is the main problem. So in order to avoid such a relation, we use this format. So this then when we can divide this relation into two relations, we have the functional dependencies. For the relation is employee ID to name, mobile number, and rating. Our age depends on rating. So yes, this is the relation second normal. This is called as second normal form. So what is second normal form? A relation is said to be second normal form if and only if it is in first normal form and every non-key attribute is fully functional dependent on primary key. A non-key attribute is fully functional dependent on primary key, then it is called as second normal. So what is primary key? Primary key is an attribute in a relation whose values must be unique and cannot be null. Unique ga undali, null undali. Functional dependency. So we say that functional dependency also. Every non-key attributes, every key also, this is called as functional dependencies. Here, this relation is in first normal form, but not in second normal form, because so our age is a non-key attribute, rating is also non-key attribute. One non-key attribute is functional dependent on another non-key attribute. Actually, it's not. So that is the problem. So to avoid such a problem, we use this. This is called This is the second normal form of the above relation. This is called as second normal form. So we say that the functional dependencies also. If you want, write the functional dependencies. If you want the functional dependencies, we can write it, no problem. So these are the functional dependencies for. So this is the functional dependency. So this is the functional dependencies. So this is the function. So this is so this is about second normal form. A relation is in second normal form if and only if it is in first normal form, every non-key attribute. So this is called a second normal form. So every non-key attribute is fully functional dependent on first normal form. So this is called a second normal form. It is in 1NF and every non-key attribute is fully functional dependent. So that's we called as second normal form. It is in first normal. If it is in first normal form, and every non-key attribute is functional dependent on is fully functional dependent on primary key. Then it is called as so that's we called as so that is about second normal form. We go for a second, third, and fourth. We will discuss next class. Okay.